Okay, there are a few key points that I want to mention before we start doing this, okay? When upholstering a chair, you need upholstery fabric. You need to pick a really good high quality fabric. Don't pick a fabric that has a print on them. I know they're really pretty, but when I'm saying print, I mean like a press print, not embroidered print, because the more you sit on something that is just a print, it is going to wear off. That print is going to go away, and you paid all that money for that pretty fabric and it's gone. So you need something that is embroidered. You need it woven tightly, so when you're sitting on it, it's not going to wear. A good fabric is going to run you anywhere between, I would say, $25 a yard. And affordable, I'm going to say maybe to 60 something dollars a yard. I paid $30 a yard for this fabric. I got 6.5 yards. That is enough for two of my chairs because of the way I'm doing two different tones. But you need 5.5 yards to do a wingback chair. To do one wingback chair, you need 5.5 yards, okay? But I bought 6.5 of each, of the yellow and of the blue. Now that is going to be your biggest expense, is the fabric. That's going to be your big expense here. So you want to get chairs that aren't so expensive, but you don't want them to be damaged. Like I said, you do not want a lot of damage because that's more money that you'll have to spend. But in the end, you save yourself money because I purchased these chairs. They would cost a lot, a lot more. But it's fun to do. Anyone can do it. You just follow the steps. Just be careful of staples in the chair. Take note of what you're doing and take your time. Okay, let's get started. The first step is to tear down. Now, some things are not that fun, and this is not really fun to do because it's going to take like an hour, but you're literally just tearing the chair down. You have to be really careful about where you start cutting. You have to get really good fabric scissors, and you just go in. You try not to cut the batting. The batting is the padding that is underneath all of the material, the fabric, and you're just gonna start cutting this out. See? And you reveal what is underneath. And just be really careful about staples, tacking strip, because you can hurt your hands. Okay? I'm going to show you a few things as we go along so you can kind of know the terminology and also see what you're going to be working with. You see this right here? This is actually like tacking strip. And this is actually folded to make a clean line, and it is hammered into the wood, okay? So we're gonna pull this off so I can show you guys what's, let's see. You need some needle nose pliers, I would say at all times when you're doing this. Or a way to pry it off. Let me actually get a screwdriver. And you need to pull this off really slow because you don't want to destroy your wood. When you remove these. And you want to save these because you can reuse this. As long as you don't tear it or bend it or break off any of your pieces on it. I'm going to show you the back in a second. And you can reuse it. You can also buy it at the fabric store. So. And this is why I told you it takes like an hour to take this chair apart. Or longer. So you have to have patience. Or you can hurt yourself. See how come that pops off? And that's what it looks like. That's tacking strip. That's what it looks like. Okay. Okay, so that actually takes longer than an hour. And I worked a long time, and it can be tough getting all this fabric and everything off, but that is what it's going to look like when you get everything off, okay? It takes a lot of time and patience. And we will continue tomorrow with replacing this foam batting with new fresh batting, because it smells and it's old, and we'll start putting on our fabric. Have a good night. The tools that we're going to use today is a staple gun. This is a really good quality staple gun. You get what you pay for when it comes to anything like this. So you need to make sure you get a high quality staple gun. You can get one that is an electronic staple gun. You can get a regular one like this with heavy duty staples. They have to be able to go through wood, okay? And you can also get an air compressor staple gun, but that will be more for a professional or a person that is used, because you can really get injured with these things, okay? But this is what you need today. This and a really good pair of scissors, fabric scissors. Okay, so this is called batting. This is the material that actually is going underneath your fabric. This is the padding, the cushioning. It is really easy to manage. It's fairly cheap. You normally can get this, I would say, at the fabric store in this area that's called remnants, and that's usually the area where people have bought fabric, but they didn't need to buy all of it, and there's only a little bit of something left, and you can get it for cheaper at that price, and you can get so much of it for so cheap, okay? But you have to make sure you have good cutting scissors to cut this, and you put it on your chair, and it's like a brand new seat. So let's get this started. So you're gonna basically take this, and you're gonna tuck it. You're just gonna simply tuck it. It is that simple. You need to make sure enough is pulled over the back, because you're gonna take your staple gun and staple that in place. And I'm gonna show you the tools that you need today to make this all work. Okay? Once you have this to size that you need in order to have enough to tuck it, you just simply cut it. And this is stretchy. You can pull it. Just don't fray it out too much, because you want it even on all of your sides, okay? Then we're gonna get our staple gun and staple it so it stays in place. And you wanna make sure you're hitting the wood when you're stapling this. The wood of your chair, because you want it to be secure. The wood is press really hard and staple. And that's what's gonna secure this in place. And you make sure you put plenty inside. Make sure everything is tucked properly. Because whatever is not smoothed out or properly secure, you will see through the fabric, okay? So if you think you're gonna see it through the fabric, 9 times out of 10 you are. Okay, so today is the fun part where we begin upholstering our chairs and adding the fabric to our chairs. Before we even get started, the one thing I really want to emphasize is that you must wash your hands. I don't care how dry they are, like my hands are really dry right now. You have to wash your hands. You don't want any dirt, oils, lotion. You don't want makeup on your hands, because you do not want to get any stains on your beautiful fabric, okay? Because then it is ruined. When choosing your fabric, which you should have already done, you want to choose a high quality fabric, like I said before. I have a fabric that is reversible because of the type of pattern I'm using. And obviously a fabric that is like this is a little bit more expensive than this, but I am using 2 different fabrics for my pattern. But yep, let's get started. Something else to emphasize: when you choose a printed fabric and you are a beginner, okay, you want this to be lined up straight. You don't want that pattern to be crooked. When you staple it in place, when you sew whatever you're going to do, you do not want this to be crooked. I also have, my second chair, the first chair that I made. This is my second chair. I want this pattern to mirror this one, okay? I want it to look exactly the same. Not mirror as an opposite. I want it to look the same. So I'm kind of pinpointing where I have that flower versus this one on this chair. So here and here, okay? Then we're gonna staple this in place. Because you don't want to waste a lot of fabric, you wanna make sure you tuck it and kind of eyeball it and see what it's going to look like, okay, before you start cutting. Because you do not want to waste your fabric. This fabric is expensive and you do not want to waste it. And there are so many pieces you can use for other things. If you have leftovers, you still need to make your cushion and your armrest, but you can also make pillows with the leftovers. So let's cut. Okay, so to cut this, I'm just gonna go to the back of my chair to where there's enough that folds over for me to staple it in place. And I'm just gonna cut a straight line across. So that is nice and secure. Now, when you're doing this, you want to leave the back of your chair open. The back is where everything is going to be pulled through and tucked and stapled. Okay? And I'm new at this too. That's the first time. That was the first chair I've made. So, I'm not an expert. I'm just showing you how I did it. Okay. I'm going to take this, pull this back, staple it, so it stays. Take this. This back. Staple it. My chair is almost completed, as you can see. And I just have to add the back, which I will do a video about this. But now we are adding these little decorative tacks. You can buy these actually in the fabric store, and they come by the ounce. They're only 95 cents per ounce, and with a chair, I'll probably use about 12 ounces per chair. So it's like 12 bucks, really cheap. But basically you're just gonna push them in, and the amount that you use is gonna depend on your spacing. So if you want to put a lot, I mean, it's up to you and how you do it. You just press them in, and you can use a rubber mallet, because I'm using a metal one right now to hammer into the wood, but you don't want to damage your pins. So you can also get like a rubber mallet depending on how far you want these to be pushed in. Now I am in the piping detailing, and this is actually the trim that you see right here that you can add. You can actually do this by hand with sewing it. You can also use fabric glue to do it as well. You just have to be really careful with your glue. These are decorative tacks, as you can see here. And these are, at my store here, they're 95 cents per ounce. And each chair probably has about 12 ounces. It depends on how much detail you want to add. If you don't want to put these on your chair, you don't have to. But if you want to put them on every part of your trim, you know, and it also depends on your spacing, if you want them bunched up close together or far apart. You can also buy the really large ones, and the larger ones cost a little bit more for you to buy. But it is really simple to do. You can use a rubber mallet to push this in, because I'm using a hammer, but you have to be really careful because you can scratch.